A few years ago, a tiny group of individuals recognized the potential of a brand new type of money. Anyone with an internet connection could use it, and it was decentralized and anonymous. The name of this new coin was Bitcoin. Bitcoin was essentially unheard of at the time. Only a small group of tech enthusiasts who saw its potential were aware of it. Even though one Bitcoin only cost a few cents, these early adopters weren't concerned about the cost. They were certain that Bitcoin will revolutionize society, and they wanted to be a part of it. So they began purchasing Bitcoin in large quantities. They purchased Bitcoin at prices as low as 30 cents, 50 cents, and even $1. They had such a strong belief in Bitcoin that they were willing to take a chance. Years passed before Bitcoin began to progressively acquire popularity. As more individuals began to use it, the cost began to increase. Early adopters who had purchased Bitcoin at such a discount are now worth millions, if not billions, of dollars. These early adopters collectively made up a small group of extraordinarily affluent people who had benefited financially from Bitcoin. They had earned the moniker Bitcoin millionaires, and Bitcoin was the sole foundation of their fortune. But what is Bitcoin exactly? You need to comprehend the idea of a decentralized money in order to understand Bitcoin. Central authorities like banks and governments control traditional currencies like the US dollar. In contrast, Bitcoin is decentralized. It is not governed by a single entity and is not backed by any tangible property. Blockchain, which is simply a digital ledger, is the platform on which Bitcoin runs. Every Bitcoin transaction ever made is recorded on this ledger. A global network of computers verifies each Bitcoin transaction that takes place. The nodes of these computers cooperate to make sure that every transaction is lawful. The finite supply of Bitcoin is one of its main characteristics. Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever be in circulation. This is because there is a mechanism built into the Bitcoin protocol that restricts the quantity of Bitcoins that may be created. This mechanism is referred to as Bitcoin mining, which is the method used to produce new Bitcoins. The complex mathematical problems that miners use their powerful computers to solve are rewarded with fresh Bitcoins. But mining Bitcoins is not a simple task. As more and more people start mining Bitcoin, it needs a lot of processing power and is getting harder and harder. As a result, the rate of new Bitcoin creation is decreasing. There is a method called Bitcoin burn that includes destroying Bitcoin in addition to the restricted quantity of the currency. A little amount of Bitcoin is burned as a transaction fee each time a transaction is made using the cryptocurrency. This will cause the total number of Bitcoins in circulation to gradually decline over time. So how many Bitcoins are now in circulation? There are about 193 million Bitcoins in use as of this writing for the video. As a result, mining has already produced almost 90% of all Bitcoins that will ever exist. How about the Bitcoin burn, though? What time will this occur? It's hard to say that much is true. When more transactions take place over time, the burn will develop gradually. It is hard to determine with precision when all 21 million Bitcoins will be mined or when the Bitcoin burn will be finished. Notwithstanding these doubts, one thing is certain. Bitcoin has fundamentally altered the financial landscape. It has created new opportunities for people all over the world and given rise to a new generation of affluent people who have built their money thanks to this groundbreaking technology. Yet, controversy has dogged Bitcoin's ascent to fame. Because Bitcoin mining uses a significant amount of energy to run the computers that make the necessary calculations, some detractors have expressed concern about the effect it will have on the environment. Others have suggested that Bitcoin's anonymity makes it a desirable option for criminal activities like drug trafficking and money laundering. Despite these worries, a lot of individuals are still positive about the future of Bitcoin. They think it might completely alter the way we think about finances and money. They view Bitcoin as a method to go around established banking institutions and give people more control. The possibility of using Bitcoin as a payment method is one of its most intriguing features. Many companies are considering accepting Bitcoin as payment for goods and services, while some already do. Bitcoin proponents are optimistic that it will one day replace conventional currencies as a commonly used method of payment. The idea of using Bitcoin for international transactions is yet another intriguing feature. Bitcoin allows for cross-border money transfers without the use of conventional financial institutions because it is decentralized and not bound to any one nation. International transactions may become quicker, less expensive, and more secure as a result. Ultimately, the technology behind Bitcoin is intricate and fascinating, and has already had a big impact on the world of finance. Its ascent to fame has produced a new generation of affluent people, but it has also spurred discussion about its possible drawbacks and advantages. What the future of Bitcoin contains may only become clear with time, but one thing is for certain: it has already revolutionized the world in ways that few could have foreseen only a few short years ago. Let's now look more deeply into some of Bitcoin's technical features. Bitcoin mining. The act of mining Bitcoins is one of the most important aspects of the Bitcoin network. Individuals or groups who mine Bitcoins employ sophisticated computers to tackle challenging mathematical puzzles. To validate and confirm transactions on the network, this procedure is required. A miner must validate a transaction before it can be used on the Bitcoin network. To validate transactions and add them to the blockchain, miners compete. A miner is compensated with newly produced Bitcoin, as well as any transaction fees related to that block of transactions after successfully validating it. The mining becomes more difficult as the network expands. The reason for this is because more miners are vying for the same incentives. To maintain a steady flow of validating new blocks, the mining difficulty is periodically changed. Supply of Bitcoin and its halving. There will only ever be a limited number of Bitcoin in existence because it has a fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin created in total. There are around 19.3 million Bitcoin in use right now. The network contains a built-in mechanism known as the Bitcoin halving to regulate the rate at which new Bitcoin is issued. The reward for mining new Bitcoin is halved every 210,000 blocks. This implies that new Bitcoin are created at a slower rate over time. The next Bitcoin halving is anticipated to take place in 2024, having happened most recently in May 2020. The value of current Bitcoin is anticipated to rise as the rate at which they are created declines. Burning Bitcoin. The act of permanently withdrawing Bitcoin from circulation is known as burning Bitcoin. Sending Bitcoin to a non-spendable or otherwise unreachable address does this. Burning Bitcoin is a common technique for lowering the currency's supply and raising its rarity. Bitcoin can be destroyed in a number of ways, including by sending it to a burn address that lacks a private key or an address that requires numerous signatures and is therefore nearly hard to access. Ultimately, the technology behind Bitcoin is intricate and fascinating and has already had a big impact on the world of finance. Even though there are risks involved with investing in Bitcoin, many individuals think that it is a worthwhile choice because of the possible returns. What the future of Bitcoin contains may only become clear with time, but one thing is for certain: it has already revolutionized the world in ways that few could have foreseen only a few short years ago. The emergence of wealthy Bitcoin users. Let's now examine how Bitcoin has produced a new class of affluent people. As we previously noted, a large number of early Bitcoin users and investors bought Bitcoin when it was still fairly affordable and kept onto it as the value surged. Eric Finman is one of the most well-known Bitcoin millionaires. While Finman was only 12 years old, he first developed an interest in Bitcoin. He bought Bitcoin when it was only trading for $12 a coin using money his grandmother had given him. When he was 18, he had amassed $1 million. A man by the name of Charlie Shrem was another early Bitcoin investor, one of the original Bitcoin miners and one of the founders of the Bitcoin Foundation, Shrem. He was a founding partner of the Bitinstant Bitcoin exchange. Shrem became rich thanks to his early involvement in the Bitcoin sector. There are numerous such accounts of Bitcoin billionaires who grew rich by investing in the cryptocurrency when it was still reasonably priced. These people have emerged as some of the most significant figures in the Bitcoin community, and other Bitcoin enthusiasts frequently look up to them. It's crucial to remember, though, that not every early Bitcoin investor went on to become rich. In fact, many early Bitcoin investors profitably sold their coins when the price began to rise, missing out on the enormous gains that occurred in the years that followed. Bitcoin and the financial future. Bitcoin has already had a big impact on the financial industry, but many individuals think it will continue to grow in significance. According to some analysts, Bitcoin may someday supplant conventional currencies as the main form of payment, and today it is already counts as digital gold. The fact that Bitcoin is decentralized and not bound to any one nation is one of its key features. This indicates that it can be used to send money across international borders without using conventional financial institutions. In comparison to regular wire transfers, Bitcoin transactions are typically cheaper and quicker. The great level of security offered by Bitcoin is another benefit. A decentralized network of computers verifies transactions on the Bitcoin network, making it nearly hard to hack or manipulate the system. For those who are concerned about the security of their financial transactions, this has made Bitcoin an appealing option. Before Bitcoin can become a commonly used payment method, there are still a lot of obstacles to be solved. Scalability is one of the main obstacles. Due to the Bitcoin network's limited capacity to handle transactions per second, there are often lengthy transaction waits and expensive fees during periods of heavy demand. The regulatory environment presents another difficulty. There is still a lot of ambiguity about how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will be regulated in the future, because many governments around the world have been reluctant to accept them. Many individuals are still enthusiastic about the future of Bitcoin in spite of these difficulties. They hope it could transform the way we think about money and finance and lead to the development of a more just and democratic financial system. What do you think about the video and Bitcoin as a currency and instrument for wealth? Please let me know in the comment section below, and please like and subscribe if you like our video.